We're in a position right now where brands have come out of the era of having to significantly restrict costs to right size their business, to be in a position to grow predictably and profitably. And now they are faced with the more challenging part of the curve to invert that reversion. So they've kind of had to reduce their top line revenue in many cases, get leaner, and are now working to try and drive growth again. And the muscle of growth has sort of atrophied.
This episode of the e-commerce playbook is brought to you by Omnisend, the top-rated email and SMS marketing platform for online merchants. Let's be real, email marketing isn't flashy, but that's what makes it great. Who needs chaos when you can have steady, reliable results? That's where Omnisend email and SMS comes in. Brands using it make $73 on average for every dollar spent. It's powerful yet intuitive and does the hard work while you kick back. Plus, their 24/7 support ensures no surprises. Check it out and use code CTC20 to get 20% off for your first month with Omnisend. Seriously, make boring work for you. Hey folks, just wanted to tell you about the upcoming Shaping the Future of D2C in 2025 virtual event from ChargeFlow coming up on May the 12th, 2025. You'll join Taylor alongside field experts like Nick Sharma, Zoe Kahn, Ron Shaw, Jonathan Snow, and representatives from leading brands, including Gorgeous, Vermont, Yachtpo, Triple Whale, and ChargeFlow. Dive into the new macroeconomics with experts who've been through it all, seen it all, and even thrived through the worst recessions and the worst times of e-com. Register for free and get a chance to win a MetaQuest VR headset, platform credits, or gift cards. Space is limited, so register now at go.chargeflow.io/CTC-D2C-2025.
I think people don't do very much. And I think the vast majority of people just wildly underestimate the volume that's required. They're like, hey, I've been selling for 90 days. I'm like, okay, so how many calls a day do you take? And they're like 5 or 6 live calls. I'm like, okay, you're taking like 400 live calls. This is John. He's closed 4,000 deals. Not calls taken, deals. That's why he's better than you. It just comes down to number of actions taken per unit of time.
I came across that clip from Alex Hormozy, and set aside whatever your feelings may be for a second about him. And that phrase, the number of actions taken per unit of time, has hung with me in this moment. We're in a position right now where brands have come out of the era of having to significantly restrict costs to right size their business, to be in a position to grow predictably and profitably. And now they are faced with the more challenging part of the curve to invert that reversion. So they've kind of had to reduce their top line revenue in many cases, get leaner, and are now working to try and drive growth again. And the muscle of growth has sort of atrophied, is what I've noticed, is the capacity to go out and produce has left them, and they're needing to find that rhythm again. And inside of all the organizations that we work with, I find this to be maybe the deepest truth of my entire business experience. The number of actions taken per unit of time. Growth is an energy. It's a force that moves through organizations in ways that produce profound results. And more than ever before, I remain convinced that the ability to drive a business forward comes down to volume. It comes down to how much can you press against the endless inertia of what it means for a brand to just exist in the world. How constant can your pressure be? How constant can your energy be towards the problem? And in reflecting on this, I came across 3 examples that I want to share with you that illustrate the power of this idea and how it comes to life, that relate directly to our industry, that I think will help to reinforce the position I shared in that opening clip. So today we're going to go through 3 different examples of how volume, about how the number of actions taken per unit of time are the imperative to your future growth. The first is going to be a tweet that Ron Ecom shared on Twitter this week. If you don't follow him yet, he's a great follow. He likes to be private about what his brand is, but this was maybe the best total encapsulation of what I believe about creative production inside of a brand, and This is perhaps most important for enterprise organizations to hear, for larger brands to hear, because I find them to be the furthest from this behavioral principle. And paid media really is, in this day and age, more than ever before, there's a two-part game. There's two-part rhythms. There's deep strategic planning around creating big moments and novel product launches and campaigns. And then there's in between those peaks, massive volume and energy towards problem solving. And I'm going to read this tweet to you. He says, for the month of April, we spent 4.3x more than last April with a 17% reduction in CAC. So if we just start from a baseline authority statement, if you could spend 4 times more and reduce CAC, something good is happening. He goes on, this is one of the many things we have done differently to last year. More, different, and better ads. Okay? This constantly gets framed as if these things are a trade-off to one another, that to have more, you must be worse. And I just flat out reject this principle. But it is this sequence that follows about how he's gotten there that I think is so important. Last December, we had 70-ish ads active in the ad library. As of today, we have 400. So 4.3x more spend on over 5x the amount of ads. At this rate, we will probably hit 600 to 800 by the end of the year. My strong opinion is that there are 3 path-dependent variables for ad production for scrappy brands. Quantity first, then diversity, and then finally quality. This is really important. When I say quantity, I don't mean 500 variations on the headline, just 5 concepts per person, 3 to 4 variations each, uploaded each week. I have 2 PhD members that I train closely to do this. A lot of the Discord on X starts with the presumption that you have resources to do shit. The reality is you don't. You can't hire anyone good. You have to do it yourself and hire someone average who's hungry and train them. Units of production per moment of time. You have to compromise on something. Don't compromise on volume. Start shit, then become good. Quantity precedes quality. This is how we all learn anything. Also, AI can help you lift the floor or the bottom. So use this to your advantage. Keep on studying. I wish I were born great at making ads or had work experience at CTC, but I am fucking shit at making ads and content because I was trained as a doctor. So you have to put the reps in. This is the same for your overseas team members. This might not seem like a lot of ads to the people on X, but we are lapping the fuck out of competitors by like 4x their number. It's enough ads. I check the ad libraries for a lot of brands in the founders group I'm in. 80 to 90% have less than 100 active ads, and they spend are asking about cost caps or bid cap. They spend their time asking about cost cap or bid caps. The key thing is the discipline. Every week, this must be done with no exceptions. When you have this basic volume, then you can focus on diversity. Just browse X, the creative search SaaS, and try everything new. It's way easier to try and manage things now that you have a system. The difficult thing is the steps outside of your customer comfort zone. There's no such thing as brand. The goal is different. Ads look a bit shit, but if it's different, send it. Once the production is steady, you must cap the quantity. Capping the quantity is a prerequisite to quality. As builders, you have to prioritize. Just accepting shitty ads for a few weeks and trust that they will get better. Uploading shit ads is better than uploading none at all. Our ads are way better than before versus 12 months ago. I did not have the taste to know how bad our ads really were. Big shout out to a lot of people on X. The argument between quality versus quantity, in my opinion, is not relevant for founders. You have to actually just do it all, not just all at once. Okay. This is so good in terms of helping to think about this. Start with the muscle for quantity. And I want to reinforce, he says this for scrappy brands, but what the biggest problem I actually see is in larger businesses have no muscle here. Their entire design and production system is related to about using a fixed set of resources across a lot of points of distribution, from point of sale retail to email to all these things. There's a ticketing system. There's this legacy infrastructure that is actually counter to the capacity for volume. And the quality standards actually prevent their capacity from walking through this door, because in the beginning, they have to redevelop the capacity for volume.
Do you sell stuff online? If you're listening to this podcast, the answer is probably yes. And if so, you need Omnisend. Yes, that Omnisend. The powerful yet refreshingly intuitive email and SMS tool that helps you make $73 for every dollar spent. The one that's so good, it's almost boring. Do you like watching steady lines go up and up and up? If so, just automate your email and SMS campaigns with Omnisend. Set it up once, then sit back and watch the sales roll in while you snooze. Oh, are you still awake? Then give Omnisend a try and start getting sales so steady they'll definitely put you to sleep. Just go to www.omnisend.com or click the first link in the show notes.
But the end result on Meta is that this is how you win. You can lap your competitors because most of them do not have this many ads live in the ad account. And I'll admit, we struggle providing this solution for ourselves at CTC. We are constantly trying to walk through the door of finding the capacity to help our customers generate more ads because we believe so strongly, again, in these two rhythms, the peak planning that drives the moment and then volume in between. Second example, this is a clip that I'm going to play from Sean at Ridge on the Operators podcast this week.
On that, right? Our big thing publicly, but what I'll say is we launch a bunch of stuff. So we launch 52 things a year, basically. Every week we're launching either colors or new silhouettes or new product. We're testing a bunch of different. And our company was kind of built around this. Like we spent the past 2 years building this muscle to actually get those things out the door, right? To actually make them on the product side, get them to the creative side, get them to the marketing team, get the ops orders, whatever. Find new vendors. We spent like 2 years building that muscle. And then like the company kind of was built around. It felt like this process of getting things out the door. Like that was the goal. No, the actual goal is every one of those things is just lottery tickets. Like we are just trying to hit the lottery, right? And we built a system to buy as many lottery tickets as possible. And then as soon as you hit one, which takes a year, it took 52 launches to hit one. Then we stop playing the lottery for a year and we just focus on, maximizing the return on that, right? Actually being on its side.
Okay, I'm going to stop before he gets to the result. Notice we spent 2 years building a muscle to have the capacity to produce 52 new products a year. Okay. This is the mechanism. Same principle as Ron. Quality first, the capacity to build and generate and do. Number of actions taken per unit of time. Increase this variable across these spectrums, across not just creative, but also across product development. And remember Ron's result, 4x the ad volume at a reduced CAC. Let's see how this same principle applied to product development is helping Sean.
So for real numbers, the power banks in 24 hours did more money than the rings did in 24 hours or the carry-ons did in 24 hours, right? It was a massive 6-figure email. We sent an email and we did multiple 6 figures in power banks, totally shocked all expectations, right?
It took them 52 shots on goal to hit the lottery. So he describes each new product launch as a lottery ticket. Same thing as creative. Again, avoid the people who will tell you for sure which one of these things will work the most. I'm not saying they don't exist, but I'm saying that they are very few and far between, and they likely don't exist inside of your organization. Instead, build the capacity, the muscle to try many. And then once you discover them, once that lottery ticket hits, it's transformative to the value of the business.
I just had to take my power bank order. I'll order hundreds of thousands of power banks now before the end of the year. And we have other launches where I do $2,000, right? It is just, I'm just buying lottery tickets. No one knows it's going to work. So when it does work, now the whole entire company, like, we're a power bank company. We're going to scale that to probably 8 figures by the end of the year, just like we do with rings, just like we do with travel. It's just trying to find whatever there is demand for. So.
Okay, so the newest product we launched, Power Banks, outperforms their current large lines around rings and luggage, and now is going to become an 8-figure part of their business going forward. But it's 52 product launches a year to discover one power bank. Okay? Now ask yourself, okay, how many product launches do we have planned inside of our organization? And then what odds of the game are we playing? Now, I get it. Some brands have a more intensive process or it's more cost prohibitive, and the ratio it's not to replicate 52, but it's to ask yourself about what is possible within your organization and how are we preparing in the number of actions taken per unit of time. The last thing I'll say is about us at CTC. We have been in this content game for 10 plus years. And when we started, Corey and I said that there was one rule. The one rule was to publish, that we were going to build a muscle for having the capacity to create content. And if you go back, you could scroll to the very beginning of our Instagram account. You could scroll to the very beginning of our YouTube channel, and you'll see some hilariously terrible content, right? One of my favorite might be go pick up Pete's sweater series where we made our intern stand in a closet and describe things that he was learning this week. It was just, but the point was we were going to set the ego of the view count aside and we were going to build the capacity. Well, now 10 years later, what can happen as a result of that consistent rhythm is that I don't know what piece of content is necessarily generating demand for our business, but we have a content agenda that's driving a mid 8 figures growth of an agency, right? And I'll give you two very practical examples of the way that this unpredictable constant volume has come to life. Okay. Over the last month, I apply the similar principle to Twitter where I'm constantly just trying to publish, right? And so I was on vacation actually, and I published a random tweet about a thought about a Tecovas ad. Out of that ad has flown so much conversation around the topic and idea that we have. It's built a relationship between me and Krista, the CMO at Tecovas, a sequence of additional relationships, partnership opportunities between multiples of our brands, all sorts of things that have come out of a random consistent presence. I had no idea when I sent it that any of that would exist. I'll give you another example. Recently, we published a podcast talking about Andromeda. Meta creates an update, we create a blog, we create a podcast. And right now, if you go search Meta Andromeda on Google, we're the number 3 result that comes up and it's driving hundreds of page views a day to our website. Was it intentional? Was it some SEO strategy? Not at all. It was presence. It was the muscle that we've developed about consistent content development. And this is what I see inside of the organizations that I work with. They have this energy towards the idea of growth. Everybody, whether it's from email to ad creative to the events team to influencer, is committed to taking the ball and pressing it forward against the inertia, against the resistance, the gravity of nothingness that exists for all products and brands. Every day, the consumer starts from caring nothing about you, and you must make them care every single day. And it's funny, as I think about it, this is the power of our Prophit system. This is the power of what CTC has designed its capacity and service around for our customers, is that the Prophit system, our way of working, brings this idea to life. Because every day you are faced with the conundrum of what to do in the face of your present state. By building a financial plan that leads to a set of expectations and metrics every single day, you wake up asking yourself, did I accomplish what I intended to do from the previous day? And if not, what am I going to do about it now? Right freaking now. And again, I want to iterate that this is not to devoid us of the responsibility of deep, long-term strategic planning. These are separate rhythms. They must both exist. Today and tomorrow must both be planned for, as well as 6 months from now, as well as a year from now. Within the context of an organization, we want our responsibility to be the executionary partner of your long-term plan. This relationship is actually the most important thing I've discovered between agency and service, is that we aren't going to be your long-term planning partner. We aren't here to design your next product release, to build your campaign promotion, but we are here to be your absolute masters in execution of the present. With our system, the clarity to the efficacy of each plan building block, literally every email, every ad spend has an expectation of performance against a clear financial goal. You can easily see whether or not you have enough actions planned to arrive at the destination that you have for the month, and how each of those individual actions are expected to perform. And the second you're off course, you're able to course correct. And it's this energy, it's this enthusiasm. And it's funny, every time inside of my own company that I find us beginning to veer a little off course, when I go in and peek behind the curtain of the problem, it's an absence of energy towards the issue. Today's May 5th. The start of the month is always my favorite part inside of CTC because I can see very clearly who has immediate energy towards the problem. Is it okay that on May 2nd, we're already 15% behind spend plan? Who has allowed that to exist? That's the absence of energy. And inside of many of the partners, it's the same thing. Who responded quickly? Who had an immediate expectation that we corrected? How aggressive were they in participating? And we can poo-poo or diminish the idea of hustle culture or all these things all we want. But the reality is May 2nd was a Saturday this month. Or sorry, May 3rd was a Saturday in this case. Somebody didn't look at the results. Somebody waited till the 4th. Somebody waited till the 5th. And by the time they got there, there was already a hole that probably meant they couldn't dig out of it. And someone else had the energy towards the problem. And across every organization, whether it's Alex Hormozi and the things he's saying, or Ron, what he's up to, or Sean at Ridge, or us at CTC, in all of these cases, the truth remains the same. Growth is in the making. It's not in the measurement. It's not in the meetings. It's in the doing. It's in the making stuff happen with clarity of the end objective and applying a force of will against the problem with a constant pressure against the goal. That's it. We can all try harder to think about what may happen in the future, but we sit here amidst the world. I think about tariffs. right? And how unpredictable the future is. And as someone who's spent years forecasting as an exercise, it's actually altered my behavior more and more towards this disposition, which is to say that it is important to be thoughtful about the future, but the real way that you bring it to life is you exert your will on it. The future, you are good at forecasting because you shape the future with your behavior, not because you guessed right. And that energy is what we're trying to introduce to ourselves and our partners. And I would consider for you, what is your organization's number of actions per unit of time? Could we help you implement a system to raise it, to increase the amount of actions per unit of time, to raise the floor of volume as an initial starting point, not to dismiss quality, not to ignore its importance in your business process, but to understand the sequence that Ron described about how we get there. So hope you've enjoyed this episode. This is what I've been thinking about this week and what I'm seeing as the next step for growth as we've gone backwards into a resistance of cost-cutting step. With many brands, it was necessary coming out of an era of excess. We had to get lean, but in that lean, we've atrophied this strength, will, and pressure to move organizations with speed and pace and clarity. So I hope this helps. I'd love to talk to you about it. Thanks for tuning in to this week's e-commerce playbook podcast.